Hey robot makers, hope you're having a good day so far. So do you want to learn how to save money with a Raspberry Pi 5? Then this is the show for you. Let's dive straight in. My name's Kevin, come with me as we build robots, bring them to life with code and have a whole load of fun along the way. So yes, today is all about Raspberry Pi 5, how we can use that to save some money. So you might be thinking, how can we do this? This is what the show is all about. So there are 7 different ways that you can use your Raspberry Pi to save you some money every month, and it does add up to quite a bit in the year, particularly if you use these online subscription services that these online alternatives or Raspberry Pi hosted alternatives can provide instead. So we're going to give a demo of each of them where possible, and you're going to learn yourself how to set these up. And if you're here for the live stream, we'll also have a bit of a live Q&A for the live stream audience at the end. Okay, let's dive straight into this then, shall we? So, first of all, if you're using Office 365 or Microsoft 365, as it is now known, then you might want to consider trying LibreOffice. So LibreOffice has been around for quite a while. I think it used to be called OpenOffice, and they've had a few changes behind the scenes in the background, but essentially it provides many of the same services that you would get from Microsoft, particularly if you have like the home or student edition of Microsoft Office and you're paying for this as a subscription service. It's about $7.99 I think per month if you're in the UK. But for that, on the Office 365 side, you would get the word processor Word, you get Excel, you get PowerPoint, you get the Teams collaboration, you get OneNote, and you also get some online storage with OneDrive as well. So on the LibreOffice side, this is also a word processor, also has a spreadsheet. All these are completely compatible with Microsoft Office, so you can open up a Word, a DocX document, a PowerPoint or an Excel, and I'll show you that in a second, running on the Raspberry Pi as well. It also has some collaboration features and some note-taking as well. It also has a database package, which is pretty good as well. So let me show you what that actually looks like online. So I'm just going to load up a machine that I have just here. Let's go full screen on this one. Let me just jump back to it. I've got this bug in this software and it always seems to do this. Right, let me just jump back to that one there. There we go. So this is a Raspberry Pi 5. I've got a couple of applications installed on this. If I just go here, you can see that we have the LibreOffice. So if you want to get this installed, you can simply go down to the recommended software. You can pick on the Office criteria that appears on the left hand side in a second. Just reading all the things that you can install, and you simply just tick that LibreOffice and it will install on your Raspberry Pi. Works particularly well on Raspberry Pi 5. This will obviously work on all previous versions of Raspberry Pi as well, but today we're talking about the 5 because some of the other applications we're looking at really require that kind of speed and power. So if I just double click on this document, which is a Word document, one I prepared earlier, you can see here we have the familiar kind of Microsoft Word style toolbar, and we've got all the usual kind of functions that we would expect to see on there, all the text formatting and so on. So this is great because it means you can create a document in here, you can save it as a Word document. If I go out here, I can say save as, and I can choose to save this as an open office document, ODF, or as a Word document, which is what I went for here, Word 2007 to 365 as they call it. And simply by just clicking the save button down there, we can save that as let's call this one test 2, something like that. Now it will also come up with this, it might contain some additional formatting that can't be saved in the Word format, but it's really just saying that to try and keep you in the open office, the open document format. But yeah, you can see we've got all the usual kind of things. We can change the fonts, the colours, the style. We've even got a document navigator. I think in Word it's on the left hand side, but on this version of LibreOffice you can see that's on the right hand side there. We can also navigate all the other things, like we've got the table there as well that I put in there. It's very easy to add to this. We can simply just click on this side there and we can add extra things to that. So if we click on the little drop down, we can even embed a table within a table, for example. So I'm just going to back out of that. So that's the Word alternative, and this is completely free. This is what I like about this. We have the PowerPoint alternative. Let's just load this one up. This one's called Impress, and you can see here, here's today's show that we're going to go through, and this works just as well on a Raspberry Pi, and it's pretty quick and responsive. We can do all the usual kind of things like put in images on there, put in all the different components and media that we'd expect to see in there. And as you can see, these are really quick to load because the Raspberry Pi 5 is a very capable machine. And there we go. This is an Excel sheet. If I just make this one full screen, just so I can see the tabs at the bottom of the screen, and I think I just need to size this slightly. Scroll down, there we go. So at the bottom of the screen there we've got the different worksheets. So I've just put on there some sample data. So we've got some fruits there, we've got some quantity sold, and then we've got the salesperson that sold them. And if we go to that other tab there, you can see that we have a pivot table and a chart, and this is just to demonstrate that this can do all the kind of modern things that Excel can do as well. So this is actually a pivot table, and then we have a chart there that's taking that data and showing you that Alex is a better salesperson than the Kevin person in this example here. So let's just close that out, and you get all the templates and the usual kind of things. And if we also go back up to the top there, we can also see some of the other things that we get with LibreOffice. So base is their database. This is very similar to Microsoft Access, but it's a full relational database package. So if I just move this up here, just click on the next button, click finish, and let's just save this as test. Oops, that's the search window. Test database. Like so. We can then start using this, and it looks very similar to Microsoft Access if you've ever used that before. So you can create tables, you can do that in a sort of design view, and you can say what the fields are. So let's just have an ID, a name, and I don't know, quantity, following the other thing we had before. So the name would be this would be an auto incremental number, I guess. Let's go for integer, let's go for name as character, and then quantity, that could also be like a number. And we can just save that out. There we go. We can also configure the type of, is it an auto value? Yes. And just having a bit of a struggle there because the screen that I'm showing this on, I'm having to scroll a little bit. But you can see there, we can fill in all those different examples and so on until we're happy with this. And then we can just save that. Let's call that table 1. And then we can close that out. And we can go back to the other view. So I don't want to make this into sort of a how to make things using LibreOffice kind of tutorial, but you get the idea. That's table 1. We can then create relationships between them, build forms, build reports, the whole works. And that's very similar to Microsoft Access. Let's have a see what else we've got on here. So we have Draw. So this is similar to Visio. If you've used a Visio before, so this is like a vector-based package for drawing things. So you can see there we draw lines, we can put on all kinds of things. We could even use these connectors, so if we want to have things connecting together, we can very easily do that. Again, I'm not an expert at using this particular package, but it does everything that Visio will do, and I think it's even interoperable with Visio as well. And let's have a see what else we have. We have Math, which is for doing equations. So there isn't an equivalent of this in Microsoft Office. I think they have it as kind of a, I know the Apple products have an equation editor in there, but this is quite fancy. This means you can do all the technical notation if you're putting together a presentation or something. So Writer is Word, if you like, Calc is Excel, Draw is Visio, Base is Access, Impress is PowerPoint. So we have the full suite there, very easy to install, very easy to use, and the files that you can create are completely compatible with the Microsoft Office suite as well. Okay, let's get back over to our notes. Okay. So let's talk about how much we can save. So the package Microsoft Office 365 is around $7.99 a month. I know that's at the UK, it's probably about the same in US dollars as well. So if we didn't require an online subscription to Microsoft Office, we could save $7.99 per month by using LibreOffice and a Raspberry Pi 5. So it does require you have the Raspberry Pi 5 already, but you would be able to save money if you have that already in place, instead of using Microsoft 365. Now, if you're like me and you use ChatGPT an awful lot, I use this for all kinds of creating content, brainstorming ideas, or at least generating some ideas that I might not have thought of as a starting point, and tweaking code, suggesting code, things like that, the things that people use ChatGPT for. If you're using this, this is quite an expensive thing to have a subscription to if you have the the premium or paid package, you might want to consider hosting your own OLAM instance with the web UI. We did a show on this a while back instead of ChatGPT. So let's have a look at how these stack up. So ChatGPT runs large language models. They're constantly updating this. I think every couple of months there's a new model that is added to this. It can answer questions, it runs in the cloud, and they use your data that you type in and your results to further train their model. You might not like that, you might not be comfortable with the idea that other people can see your data and are using your data, but you have to sign up to that when you use their service. Now occasionally, even if you're using the paid version, if you're using ChatGPT 4 and you use that for so many tokens, so many words in effect, it might say that it's busy and other users are using the system and you might have to try back later on. Or you have to use the slower model, actually the faster model, but not as accurate, ChatGPT 3.5 instead. Now, if you're using OLAM, you don't need to worry about any of those things. You can simply run the models of your choice when you want, how often you want. It'll have the same kind of features and functionality, so it answers the questions, runs locally, and it's completely private. So all your questions, all your data stays on your device. So no data is shared across the cloud whatsoever. So I want to show you how I have this currently working. So I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to go to me for a second, just load up my browser, and I'm just going to get, let me load up my instance of OLAM. Okay, let's let that fire up. So what I've done, I've actually hooked this up. There's that funky bug again. Let me just go back there. There we go. So I've actually hooked this up to my kevsrobots.com domain name. So KevsGPT is my own hosted instance of OLAM, which is running just behind me on one of the Raspberry Pis in the background there. And we can use this just like we would ChatGPT. So we've got the little window at the side there, which is very similar to ChatGPT, and we can type in all the kinds of queries that we would do normally. So I just type in something like, give me a greeting for my live stream audience watching now. Now, I do have to select which model I want to use, so I've already downloaded Dolphin Mixtral, which is quite a big model. We have Dolphin Phi, which is the smallest model I've got on here, Gemma 2, and the Llama 2, which is slightly kind of in between 3.6 gigs. So I'm going to use it for the sake of speed, the Dolphin Phi model, and I'm just going to hit the generate button. It takes about 10 seconds in my experience to come back with an answer. You can see there that I've previously asked it to do a greeting just so I could test out how quickly this would respond. But you'll see there it's responding quite quickly now. This is probably about the same speed as ChatGPT 4, more or less. And it seems to be, in general cases, as good as ChatGPT 4, even though theirs is a lot larger language model. So there you go. It says, hello everyone, thanks for tuning into our live stream. I hope you're having a great time watching this and enjoying the content. If there's any specific things you'd like to discuss and questions here, feel free to ask right away. There we go. So that's how we can use that. Now the other cool thing with ChatGPT, well, ChatGPT only lets you run on one model. On OLAM, we can actually run this on several models at the same time. So I can actually select two different models. So let's go for the Dolphin Phi, and let's say, tell me a fact about bats. Okay. What it will do is it will run this on both of the different models. So we might get a slightly different answer. It might actually be exactly the same depending on what data they've been trained on and where they've got that information from in the first place. Oh, I've actually done it on the exact same one. That's not very clever, is it? Let me start that one again. So, in fact, we'll just do a new chat. That was a bit silly. So let's do it on Dolphin Phi and let's do it on Gemma B. So tell me a fact about bats. There we go. So it might take a little bit longer because it's probably generating that on the other one in the other instance in the background. So let's see how far this gets. And essentially it has to run through one model, wait for that to finish, and then it tries it on the other one. Now we can actually go over to that Raspberry Pi that's running this. I think this is running on is it this Raspberry Pi? No, I think it's this Raspberry Pi. So if I go over to here and I do htop, which shows us the CPU usage and what's actually using the CPU. You can see there the OLAM service is using pretty much 100% of all 4 cores on the Raspberry Pi 5. So it's really maxing out the capabilities of that Raspberry Pi. It doesn't use that much memory. You can see they're only using about 1.6 gig of RAM. It's really just processing through the model, which takes the time. And we've asked it to do it twice, which it's basically struggling to do now. So I'll come back to that one later on, but you can see there that we have, there you go. So here's a fun fact about bats. Bats are only mammals that can fly. They're able to do this because they have a flexible and lightweight body, strong wings, and a powerful flight muscle called the rectus pectoralis, is that? And you can see there, there's these little 1s and 2s. Now this is showing you the different answers from the different models. So Dolphin Phi gives you a much longer one, and the second one, the Gemma, the 2 billion Gemma model, that's got a much smaller one. So we can go back to that. And they ran, like I said, almost concurrently, and then you get your answer there, and you can copy them just like you would normally to a clipboard, and you can paste that and do whatever you want there. You can even give it a thumbs up to tell it that that worked particularly well, or you can get it to regenerate all the same. You can also get some stats there just to see how well that performed and how quickly it did that. So you can see there it took, let's have a see, 28 seconds I think that is to generate that. And we can go over to the other chat that we had as well. That one seems to be stalled, I think, because I clicked off it. Sometimes if you refresh, you can actually get it to show you what was on the other one there. But it remembers it. There we go. You can see the live stream messages from before. And it works just the same as ChatGPT. Let's get back over to our slides and carry on and have a see how much we could save with this. So there's our LibreOffice $7.99. So if you have the premium version of ChatGPT, that's $20 per month. So we could potentially now save up to $27, $28 per month by quitting those subscriptions and using our own instead. Now, I've actually been using this one myself in earnest. I've been using it for things at work, for things to do with Kev's robots, just to try and see, is it as good as ChatGPT, and do I find myself going back to that subscription? And to be fair, this one works just as well. It's even good at doing the code, generating code, and formatting documents and everything. It's very, very good. So definitely worth checking out that one and considering, do you want to save some money if you're on the premium version of that. Okay, let's look next. We have the Ring or Nest, any kind of home security system that you might have. I'm sure there are other ones as well. You might want to consider Frigate. Now, I actually don't have Frigate installed on my Raspberry Pis yet. But what I do have, and I'll be doing a show about this one very soon, is this Google Coral device. So this is a Pineberry Pi hat. You can buy these, and they have the Google Coral device that comes with it. It's a little NVMe plug-in, so you can put that into the NVMe key, M2 key slot there, and this one plugs into the Raspberry Pi 5 just like you would do with a NVMe drive. So it just goes on the top or underneath. I think this one kind of goes underneath the Raspberry Pi 5, but this is it's a TPU. In effect, it's like a graphics processor that's external to the Raspberry Pi 5, and it can take all the workload of doing things like detecting faces and objects. So Frigate, if we just go over to the slide here and do a bit of a comparison. So we use Google Home for our home automation and also our home security. And Google Home records through the little cameras that you can buy. I've got one of them next to me here. I'm sure I've actually got one on my other desk somewhere, but I can't see that immediately. So I use them for pointing at 3D printers, and we also have them for home security as well. So they record the footage up to the cloud, and the devices can also detect things like parcels, people, dogs barking, all that kind of stuff. So some of them, depending which model of camera you buy, you can have different functionality there. It will delete the data after 30 days, I think it is, unless you click on the clips functionality within the Google Home app and save that piece of information. It'll save it there for a period of time. But once again, you're saving your data up to the cloud to a third party. You don't know what they're doing with that data. Are they training on it? I'm pretty sure if you look through the terms and conditions, they do have the right to look through your data and use it to train their AIs even further. So Frigate, on the other hand, is a very similar kind of offering. This is a home security footage platform. It saves the data locally, and it has all the AI detection stuff that you would expect of a home security system now, but it does that on the Raspberry Pi itself. Now, if you have one of these Google Coral devices, you can actually speed up how quickly it can do that and the number of devices that it can do that on. So everything stays in your private within your privacy realm, if you like, so it's not going out to the cloud. And you can store this data as long as you like, as long as you have storage to do that. So Frigate is something we'll be doing a show about, particularly with this Pineberry Pi hat at a later period in time, so check back for that one. So let's have a compare how much we could save by ditching Google Home's security package. So it's about $8 per month. Again, it's about $7.99, $8 per month. So if we use Frigate instead of that, we could save another $8, so we're up to $35, nearly $36 per month that we could save just by using some open source alternatives. Okay, next up, this is, I think, the gold of this particular show. We're going to leave Dropbox or Google Drive or iCloud, and we're going to try Nextcloud instead. I did have a few people talk to me on social media and in comments from other shows saying you've got to try Nextcloud. It really, really is good. So you've got to check this one out. So let's have a compare. I'm going to compare Dropbox just feature-wise, but the other offerings are very similar. Google Drive and iCloud are very similar. So Dropbox is hosted on Dropbox's servers, so you don't know where your data is when you save files to Dropbox. It is very easy to set up, very easy to use. It provides file syncing, sharing and personal backup, so you can access things from your mobile phone and also have access to this on your home computers, where it's Macs, PCs and so on. And they also include some other additional features like Dropbox Paper for collaborative editing. They've kind of tried to make this more than just a file syncing service. And they generally offer less control over data privacy compared to hosting this yourself. So talking about hosting this yourself, Nextcloud is the answer to this. So this is a self-hosted cloud storage solution. The data is stored on your own servers once again. So what I've done with my Raspberry Pi 5s, each of them has a terabyte drive on them, and that's plenty of space. I pretty much don't have to worry about storage now because each one has a terabyte each, and I've got some additional storage elsewhere on the network if that should run out, but it's pretty much more than I need for now. I don't tend to store lots of video footage on there, surprisingly. I do have a separate machine for storing video for doing YouTube editing, for example. So yes, stored on your local server. You could also store this on a third party if you wish. You're not limited to that, but this is really where it comes into its own. It supports file syncing, sharing and collaboration, so you can have this on a number of different machines or access to it on a number of different machines, and it integrates productivity tools such as calendars, contacts, task management, and there's another gem in there that we'll have a look at in a minute, which I think really makes it the special one of this show. And it also allows for plugins for extra extended functionality as well. So let's have a look at Nextcloud. So again, I'm just going to drop out to my browser. Let me just bring this one up and let's have a see what this is all about. Right, so I'm just going to load it up into two places. So let me just do Nextcloud on there as well. Okay. So let's go over to here. So this is Nextcloud running on one of my Raspberry Pis. So this one they're all hosted in Docker, and I'll get on to why I've done that shortly. But you can see on here we have a file sharing system. So if I just click on here, we can see a list of some example files that are on there. So there's like a PDF document there about how to use Nextcloud. And look how responsive this is, how quick it is to open these things up and use them. This again is the power of the Raspberry Pi 5. They've got a little intro video there as well. So really love how quick, responsive this is, and the fact that it's a completely free file sharing system. So this is all good if I'm just sharing files within my own home network, but what if I want to share this with other people on the World Wide Web, or if I want to access this remotely? So once again, I've set up nextcloud.kevsrobots.com and I've installed the app on my mobile phone as well, so I can access all those very similar things. So if I go over to that README file, for example, so I'm accessing this from the web, and let's edit this. So if I just say hello live streamers, and if we just click OK on that, close that out, and let's go back to our other desktop there. the local version, and let's open up that README file, and you'll see that there it says hello livestream. It's the same file that we're accessing, and we can do all the usual kind of things like sharing out these files. So we can, if I just close that out, we can do the usual kind of file sharing that you would expect to see on something like Dropbox. So we can click on that and we can edit locally, we can download it, and so on. And you've got there shares, you can start to share things out as well, folders and so on. Also tells you how much file storage you've used, and you've got an entire like administrative console, so you can add extra users to your home sharing facility if you like. So I think this is great as well as a kind of home intranet. You can quickly throw things on there. You can have an email client. There's a talk client as well, so you can even replace things like Messenger. You can basically just have chats as you would expect. I've actually not used that too much. And there's also a note-taking app as well, which is very similar to Notepad. It uses one markdown for formatting the documents. So very nice, very simple to use. So I absolutely love this. This is definitely staying on my Raspberry Pi servers, and I'm going to be accessing this all the time now just to try it out in earnest. And there's extra features I want to show you later on, but I'm only going to tease at what they are. So you'll notice down here we've got, let me find this documents folder, and we have some Word documents, Excel, that sales thing we looked at in the LibreOffice. We've also got that on here as well. We're going to have a look at that a little bit later on. Cool, so let's jump back to our presentation. Let's see how much we could save if we decided to drop Dropbox and use Nextcloud instead. So it's another $8 per month. These things start to add up. So we're already at $43, $44 per month if you round it up, that we could be saving if we ditched those online subscription services and used our Raspberry Pi and free open source software instead. Okay, if you like what I do and you want me to make more of these kinds of videos, please drop me a like, drop me a comment as well if you're interested in any of these solutions. If there's anything you want to tell me that I should add to this list, definitely let me know that. I'll do a part 2 as a follow-up if there's enough content there. And if you've not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It's completely free and it means an awful lot to me, so you might want to consider doing that if you enjoy these kinds of videos. And I do go live every single Sunday at 7 o'clock local time, which is currently British Summer Time, BST. So feel free to drop in on the live stream, ask some questions at the end of the show, and yeah, we're going to hang out and have a bit of a chat. Okay, now this one's a bit controversial. Well, let's go through it. You might want to consider dropping Netflix or any of the other streaming services like Disney, Paramount Plus, Prime, and so on, and try something called Jellyfin instead. I think Jeff Geerling covered this one, I think, a while back, but it's certainly something you want to consider playing with as well. So Netflix, as you know, is a subscription-based access. They host a very large library of movies, TV shows, documentaries, and original content. And the content is streamed from Netflix's server. So they have a whole content distribution network to make sure it's as fast as it can be, so there's no lagging or delay. And they provide recommendations based on your viewing history as well. Now, they don't allow you to upload your own content or download content from them, or any kind of customization of that platform other than changing the icon for your profile picture. Now, there's an alternative solution that you could use instead, which is called Jellyfin. And this is an open source media server, and you can host your own media library. So if you have DVDs and Blu-rays, you can essentially rip them, store them on your local file system on your Raspberry Pi, and it will grab all the art, all the information about that particular movie or TV show or music or audiobooks, and it will store that in this really beautiful interface. There's no built-in content, so it's not quite the same as dropping Netflix. There's not all that original material, but you can add in third-party providers. Now, some of those are legal, some of them are completely not legal, so let's not go down the illegal route on this one. So I would say just anything that you previously bought and you have the DVD for the Blu-ray, I think that's fair game to use that, as long as you're not sharing that with a very large audience. And it's free to use, no ads, no subscription fees, and let's have a look at Jellyfin. So I'm just going to go over to Jellyfin. I've got this one set up already, so let's jump over to there. So this is the interface. It's a very kind of minimal interface, and obviously the more content you have on here, the more this will fill out. So we've got on there the little drop down menu. We can look at, for example, I've got just movies installed at the moment. You can have audiobooks, and there is an awful lot of free audiobooks available as well, so we could add them to this very, very simply. So I've essentially just uploaded one video, which is one of my own YouTube videos. And you can see there it's got the chapters. It's just done this every 5 minutes. It's created a new chapter, but we can do things like, like and add this to our collection if we like, and it also gives us some information about that too. And if we simply just like click the thing, it'll start playing that. There I am talking away. So let's jump back. And let's go to the home location as well. And you can see there we can even favorite things, and it's favorited that particular one. So we can set up different groups. We can set up different users for this. This is probably great as a home network, a home media streaming service. So if you have your own home movies you want to put on there, you could have them in your library too. So it's pretty cool, very simple to set up, and it's completely free. And like I said, there are extra plugins that are available. I've not really looked into any of those, but there's an awful lot of extra services you can add to that to get more content for free included in that. So that's Jellyfin. Now I'll talk about how to set up each of these different services in a minute or two, but it's basically very, very simple to do this. So there we go. That's Netflix versus Jellyfin. It could be Prime, it could be Disney Plus, or whatever. So how much would we save if we dropped Netflix and we used Jellyfin? So I'm currently on the premium version of Netflix. I think it's the one where it's like a family one. You can have a couple of different users watching at the same time, and that's $17.99 per month currently. So if we drop that and use Jellyfin instead, we'd be saving $61.98 per month. So these savings are really stacking up now, and this is per month. So Jellyfin is definitely something we can look at as an extra saving there. Now, another one that might be controversial, dropping Xbox Game Pass and trying RetroPie instead. So behind me, in fact, if I go to the full screen there, I've got there it is, a Pimoroni Picade arcade machine, which runs Raspberry Pi, runs on a Raspberry Pi and runs RetroPie, and has a whole bunch of retro games on there. So let's have a look and see how this stacks up, shall we? So the Xbox Game Pass is a subscription-based service for providing access to a rotating library of games. So you don't get the same games kind of locked in. It's a bit like Netflix. Things will drop off. New things will appear on there. Offers new releases from the Xbox Game Studio on the day that they are launched. So that's an extra perk there. Available on all Xbox consoles, like the X and XS and S ones, I think. Xbox One. And it's a cloud-based gaming service as well. So you can basically run this in the cloud rather than running it on your own device as well, I believe. It's a monthly subscription fee, and they have different tiers with benefits like Xbox Gold, Xbox Live Gold, and EA Play. So these are different additional benefits there. And it's very high-quality modern gaming experience, a focus on current and recent titles. So what I'm saying is, if you want to still play games and have a lot of fun, there is decades worth of games available to you completely for free via open source solutions such as RetroPie. So RetroPie runs Game Station, Emulation Station, to emulate all video game consoles on a Raspberry Pi 5. So the users must be able to provide their own ROMs, ideally by backing the games up that they have. So again, this is like if you have a game that you used to play and you have the ROM for this, you can probably find the download of that ROM without having to go through the exercise of extracting that so that you can play that on your Raspberry Pi. And it currently supports a wide range of retro gaming systems such as the Atari 2600, the Nintendo 64, ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64. There's a whole bunch of them, even like PlayStation 2 I think is supported on there. Completely free to download and use. There's a massive community out there with support for troubleshooting, and they offer this nostalgic gaming experience focusing on classic games. So yeah, they might not be the latest games, but they're still a lot of fun, and there's a lot of them, and you can really just get into some real genuine good gameplay. You can pick the absolute best of the past 3 or 4 decades by using RetroPie. So it's definitely something I would check out, and you might want to drop the expensive Game Pass instead of that. So I'm not going to demonstrate RetroPie. We've done at least 2 shows on RetroPie in the past, so you might want to check those out on the channel. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check those out. But yeah, you definitely want to check out RetroPie, one of my personal favourites there. So how much can we save if we drop Xbox Game Pass instead? We can save $12.99 per month by switching to RetroPie. So $74.97 in savings per month now. Okay, let's see what else we have. So if you have NordVPN, you might want to consider using a free alternative which is called PiVPN instead. So I've actually not installed this one myself yet, simply because I don't use VPNs very much. But if you use a subscription service such as NordVPN, there are other ones available as well, like Surfshark and so on. None of these are sponsors of the show, I hesitate to add. But these ones basically provide a layer of security by encrypting the traffic that goes to the internet and making it so when it pops out the other end, because it does pop out somewhere on someone's computer and then gets decrypted at that point. So they'll talk about security, but it's kind of just moving the goalposts a little bit of where the risk would be. And it's really designed for people who want an easy to use, like a very quick to set up VPN service and be able to access things like geo-restricted content, like if you want to watch Netflix in a different country. So when we're going to like San Francisco later in the year for open source, if we want to watch the British version of Netflix, we could use something like NordVPN to pop out back in the UK. But we'd have to pay a monthly subscription for that. So PiVPN is an open source alternative that runs on Raspberry Pis, or the compatible devices. It can run on your PCs and Macs as well, but designed for Raspberry Pis. It uses OpenVPN or WireGuard protocols to create a secure connection, and you do need a bit of technical understanding on how to do this, but once you've got this set up, you basically can use your own home broadband as your exit point. So you can, from any location in the world, you can pop out of your own home broadband just like you would, and therefore geo-restricted content would work the same way as it would through something like NordVPN. So it doesn't provide a network of global servers, and the connectivity is limited to which servers you have access to yourself. But the good thing is it is completely free. So PiVPN, let's have a look at the savings on this one. It's not a massive saving because VPNs don't tend to be that much, but I think it's about $4.99 per month if you currently subscribe to something like NordVPN, Surfshark, that kind of thing. So we can stick in another $4.99 savings into our pot. So we're nearly at $80 there per month. So if we're leaving, if we want to consider leaving Windows behind and just having our daily driver as a Raspberry Pi 5 device, you really want to consider doing that. The experience is completely different than a Raspberry Pi 4 or any of the previous Raspberry Pis. It is just like a regular desktop PC. So let's have a look at how these compare. I'll put the prices on the bottom as well, just so you can see the difference. So I looked at a Dell Optiplex by way of comparison. So this has got an Intel i5 processor. It's got 6 cores running at 4.4 gigahertz. And it has 8 gig of RAM and half a terabyte of storage on an SSD drive. Also comes with a case, as you would expect, power supply, keyboard and mouse. Now Raspberry Pi 5 comes as a bare bones board, so if you want to have a case, a keyboard, power supply, the NVMe base to be able to store, I can go over to my overhead camera actually to show you one I've got set up just here. This one is currently set up with this robot that I'm building. You can see there it's got an NVMe hat on it. This is a piano hat. It's like an unreleased one from Primary Pi, but it's also got the NVMe drive there as well, providing some much needed storage to the Raspberry Pi 5. It's also in the case. We've got the keyboard and the mouse as well. And these nice little Raspberry Pi branded. That's the mouse button, because Jenny's mouse stopped working. So spec-wise, these are very similar. So the Broadcom has 4 cores instead of the 6. It's running at 2.4 gigahertz instead of the 4.4, but you'll find the actual experience is very, very similar. And the price-wise, it's a fifth of the price of the Dell, and it's very easy to use. So let's actually go over to the Raspberry Pi that I've got. I've got one of them set up over here we can look at. So let's go full screen on that. Again, let's just jump over. We've got a couple of Raspberry Pis here that we can look at. So if I launch Chrome, for example, so I click on that, we're immediately into Chrome. Look how quick that is to load up. we go to like raspberrypi.com, you can see that it's very, very quick. This is full Chromium. This isn't like a reduced version of a browser like we had on previous versions of Raspberry Pi. This is like a full browser. So we can go to youtube.com, for example. Let's wait for that to load up. I've actually not signed into this, so it's basically just saying, do you want to sign in and accept everything? Yes, whatever. And let's wait for that to start. There we go. This is more to do with my broadband. So there you go, some silly short video playing at the moment. We can go back to the main screen and let's type in robots. Let's see what pops up on YouTube. Cool. So yeah, very, very usable as a browser. We can also log into all the usual kind of web services we want to. We could even go to like Kev's GPT, for example, kevsrobots.com. And it'll ask me to sign in there because I've got the authentication set up on that. But I can also go to kevsrobots.com. Let's go to www.kevsrobots.com. Have I typed that right? Yes, I have. And there we go. So I've written this article about how to set up your own Nextcloud, because I think that's really the takeaway from this particular episode, is that's probably something you really want to consider. So what I've done on here, I've put everything that you need to know about how to set this up. And what I've created, I have a repository on GitHub that's called Clustered Pi, and it has all the stacks, as Docker calls them, which is kind of all the pre-built images of things I want to run on my Raspberry Pis. So we can actually go over to the terminal on here. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. So Shift, Control, and Plus. Let's Shift, there we go. Hopefully that's clear now. So if I go into Clustered Pi and into the Stacks folder, and I list this, you can see here, these are all the pre-built Docker files, the Docker Compose files. So we need to have Docker installed. There is links in the article that I've just shown you on Kev's Robots on how to install Docker. There's even like a course I built to do that. But we can see on here all the different things that we might possibly want to install. So for example, let's look at random facts. That's a little service that I created to provide random facts to my kevsrobots.com website. So if I go into random facts, if I list what's in there, I've actually not included anything in there. Let's go for Redis instead. I'm actually going to go for Redis 2 because I think I was playing about with this. Let's have a look what's in here. So there's a Docker Compose file. Let me do Docker PS to see if there's anything running. We've actually got Redis running on there already. So if we do Docker Compose and then down, it will actually take that offline. So let's just do Docker PS again. This is just listing all the different things that are on here. So we can see we've got OLAM web access. We've got something called Portainer, which is something I use for managing my Docker instances. We can have a look at that as well if you like. But yeah, we've not really got very many things running on there. So if we want to bring up that Redis service, if I just do Docker Compose up-d for run this headless, then that's it. That's all it takes to bring up that Redis service. So that's now running as a service on that Raspberry Pi. So if I do Docker PS, we can now see that that Redis is now running. It was up 8 seconds ago. Let's run another service on here. So I've got one that's called, let's try Mongo. Well, let's try something new we can actually see running. So I'm going to use Kev's Robots. That might take a little bit longer, but let's give that a go. So if I do cd Kev's Robots, have a look what's on there. So there's a few more files on there, but really it's the Docker Compose file that does all the work for us. So if we do Docker Compose up-d, it'll basically just go off and fire that off. Let's do Docker PS and see if we've got that up and running now. So there you go, Kev's Robot latest is now running. So if I go over to this machine, so if you do 0.0.0.0 and then 3333, I think is the port that this particular thing is running on, you can see it's brought up a web server running Kev's Robots very, very easily. Now, you might get the idea that that was instant to run this because the container which it runs in has already been built. If you're running this and you've never run it before, it might have to download the different images and build it, and it might take a minute or two to do that. But you can see there, this is very, very simple. So Docker Compose down will bring down that container. So if we now go back over here, we refresh that page, it says it can't find it because it's not running anymore. So this is what I love about Docker, and I put together for Nextcloud a container. So let's go over to, let's see, are we actually running Nextcloud on here? I don't think we are. So let's go back a folder, let's go into Nextcloud. So I'm just going to do git pull because I think I've got the new ones I built today, such as Jellyfin and Nextcloud. Let's go into Nextcloud. You can see there's just that one Docker container. It's kind of like a recipe on how to build that. So let's just list the file and see what's in there. So there's just a bunch of instructions, such as this is a service. There's one called database and one called app. It's not running very securely at the moment, as you can see on there, but we've got Nextcloud as the image that it's going to download. The container is going to be called Nextcloud app. It runs on port 8080. It depends on that database as the backend, and it has a volume, which is where it stores the physical files. So if we do Docker Compose up, we've not actually downloaded this one already, and what you'll see is it will try and what's it having a problem with there? So unknown method list volumes. Maybe it's having a problem with that volume name there because that currently doesn't exist. So if we do Docker build, I think. Let's see if it'll build that. No. I'm getting into a muddle here now. So Docker Compose build. Docker Compose pull. So will that work? I'm not going to worry about this now. So I've got a cluster set up. This is what the difference is on these 4 Raspberry Pis all work together in what's called a swarm. I'm not sure I can easily show you that one running. Is it Docker Swarm? I'll show you the Docker status. Because I'm doing a live stream, my brain kind of goes fuzzy on trying to show you things like on here when I kind of go a bit off script. So essentially, I've got 4 Raspberry Pis that all work together as a cluster. And sometimes when you try and run things in that cluster in a way that's not designed for the cluster, it kind of complains about that. But I have got, if I go back over to that other box, so this is box number 1. If I go to box number 2, and let's have a see what we have on there. Let's just open up a terminal. That was me just installing LibreOffice as a backup. Yeah, that one's misbehaving a little bit as well. I'm not sure what's going on there with that one either. It's a live stream. Things always go a bit funny, don't they? Let's see if we can load up a terminal. Yeah, it's as if there's a key being held down. There we go. So if I do Docker PS, there's an awful lot of things running on this particular machine. I'll just try and stretch this out a little bit. It might make the text a bit easier to read. So I've got Jellyfin running. I have something that's called Mealy, which is a recipe management thing. Homer, which is a home server platform. We'll have a look at that. We've got Nextcloud. We have a Linux server, MariaDB, which is the backend for Nextcloud. I've also got MongoDB running, OctoPie, and we have Portainer as well. So if we go over to that browser, if that's not behaving, I'll go back to this one. Let's just open up another tab and let's go to home.kevsrobots.com, I think it is. Or is it kevsmac.com? Might be kevsmac.com. This is Homer. So I can log into this. Can't remember what my username is on this. I don't know if it's this or if it's admin. Remember what I put on here. Nope, I'm not going to remember this in a hurry. Let's just try my email address instead. No, it's not happy with that. Try one more time on there. Yeah, so anyway, Homer is probably something I can show you on here actually, because I've got the But I've already got it logged in. There we go. So this is what Homer looks like. So it's a way of putting like nice tiles for things like that mealy service, which is that home recipe. So I think this redirects to food.kevsrobots.com. If that one is actually running, I'm just going to look at else. We've got the Home Assistant. I've got Node-RED, so I can click on that and open my Node-RED instance as well. So it's kind of like shortcuts to things that I want to share or have access to elsewhere on the internet. So these are all running on that single Raspberry Pi 5, as well as OLAM and Nextcloud as well. So you can see there we've got a meal planner. Let's wait for it to load up the results there. So these are some home recipes that we put together along with some pictures. Things like TGI Fridays Black Jack Daniels sauce, teriyaki chicken, burritos, lemon meringue pie, ham in Coca-Cola, and so on. So yeah, these are all things that you can put together, and it makes it really easy to sort of put the ingredients and instructions together side by side, as well as having a nice picture. So we can share that as like our own home recipe book and share that between us. So when Alex is away in Sheffield or wherever, she can have access to that as well. So all those things are running on these Raspberry Pis, and we use Docker and Docker containers to very quickly bring those up and have them run. And if the machines restart, they will restart those services as well. Cool. Let's get back to here. So you can see there, you can use your Raspberry Pi as a daily driver. You can do everything you need to do that you would do on a regular PC, like reading your emails, accessing the internet, watching YouTube, for a fifth of the price of a desktop PC. So, and that's with all the extra features like a case and power supply and a keyboard and mouse, NVMe drives, NVMe base, and the Raspberry Pi itself. So £146 is a pretty big bargain if you ask me, given what you actually get on there. So the total savings per year, if you were to do all those things I've just shown you there, would be £923 per year if you basically stop some of your monthly subscriptions. So this is probably a show to me more than anyone else to consider cancelling some of those subscriptions, because think about all that money that it would unlock just by using open source and a bit of a Raspberry Pi 5 as well. So total savings per month, $80. Total savings per year, you're getting very, very close to $1,000 that you would save. So totally impressed with that. Let me know what you think about that, how many would actually apply to you. So if you want to help this show, you can also get some merch online at kevsrobots.com. You can get one of these really nice Robot Maker hats. They really make you stand out and are a bit of a talking point as well. And it also helps support the show too. So head over to kevsrobots.com/merch for that. And if you want to help, or you want to get some help with some of the projects that you might be working on, you can do no better than going over to Discord. So go to kevsrobots.com/Discord to get a sign-up link for that. It's completely free. It'll email you a link if you've not signed up, and then you'll have access to our communities. And it's a growing community. I think there's like over 1,000 people in there now. It's crazy. And it covers up. You can basically showcase some of your own projects on there as well. I'm always interested in seeing what people have built. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do that as well by going over to any of these different social media channels. So on Threads, I'm at Kevin McAleer at threads.net. On TikTok, I'm at Kevin McAleer6. On Instagram, I'm at Kevin McAleer. On X, I'm at KevsMac. On Mastodon, I'm at KevsMac at mastodon.social. And on Blue Sky, at KevsMac at bsky.social. So if you're on there, give me a follow, say hi, let me see what you're working on, and you'll also get some behind the scenes pictures, things like this project that I'm currently working on, which is a fortune telling robot that I'm going to build for open source. So this is Volterra. You'll hear more about her in the next coming weeks, I'm sure. And if you want to join the YouTube channel or the Buy Me a Coffee, you can do that as well and get your name in the end credits. So if you want to do that, you can go to kevsrobots.com/coffee to buy a physical coffee. You can do that as a one-off. You can do that as a monthly thing, depending on what suits your budget. And only do that if you can afford to do that as well. Please don't do that if you're struggling in any way. I really, really okay for money. It just helps support the show. So you can do a super thanks if you're watching this live now. So let me just switch on the stream elements to make sure they pop up. You can do a super chat. So super thanks is if you're watching a replay. Super thanks if you're watching live and you want to get your name up in a little bubble on screen there. And if you want to join the YouTube membership program, if you click on the join button, which is just on the main player down below, once you've subscribed, I think it gets replaced by a join button, and you can join for the price of a coffee per month as well. Okay, and then let's have a see what's next. And yes, it's our subscribers. Let's give our subscribers and supporters a shout out. So we had Johnny who bought a coffee this week. Thank you for that, Johnny. We've got some new members. So Kevin became a member very recently, as well as Lee. We've got Alvaro, we've got Marie Louise Mayer, we have Jeff Johnson, we've got Dean Corte, we have Marlene Brent, Tom, Shemi, and Steve Phillips. They're on the Buy Me a Coffee side. On the YouTube side, we've got Johnny, we've got Hybrid Robotics, Warren Steele, Stephen Cross, Jonathan R, Oxrad39, Vince, John Paul Jolly, Alistair Ware, Cassie, we have Tinkering Rocks, JDM, Johnny Bates, Hans from Cheerlights, Michael, and of course we have Tom as well. So yes, subscribe. So yes, that's everything I've got for you today. So what should happen now is YouTube should suggest on this area of the screen here some other videos that you might be interested in, such as the RetroPie one, for example. Do check those out. That also helps the channel grow, and YouTube sees that you like this kind of video content and having a bit of a binge session. So definitely check one of those out. And this is the point of the video. If you're watching this on replay, I'll say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.